Housing is now chronically unaffordable official because the trend's been confirmed by figures out today from the Office for National Statistics, no less. The average house price in England, the average, is now 8.7 times the average income. That's up from 4.4 times back in 1999. So if you need a mortgage or home loan, the most you can hope for is 3 or possibly 4 times your income. And that puts home ownership well beyond the reach of average earners. That's why here in the UK, this nation of owner-occupiers, we're told, home ownership's now actually below the average for countries within the EU. And when it comes to 25 to 34-year-olds, today's young adults are paying more on rent and are less likely to own their own home now than any cohort of that age since the Great Depression of the 1930s. The problem the UK has, as On the Money often points out, is we simply don't have enough homes. The shortage is less acute in Scotland, where the average house is 5.5 times the average income, still steep but doable for a young couple as long as they're quite well paid. And in Wales, the affordability ratio is 6 times, even more expensive. But the 8.7 times income multiple in England, which soars to 12 times average income in London and the South East, where there's more work available, that points to a major affordability crisis. And that's caused, above all, by a chronic home shortage. We need around 250,000 new homes each year to meet population growth and new household formation. So that's 2.5 million new homes per decade. But we haven't reached such levels of house building since the late 1970s. And over the last 20 years, new homes have been built at less than half the required rate. Now, some people will say there's not enough space to build, but that's nonsense. Residential housing plus gardens covers less than 2% of our country. And I've got the numbers. And yet the greenbelt, that sacred turf that surrounds London and many of our big cities, covers 13%, over 6 times more. Rishi Sunak's been trying to win over Tory members, the 160,000 Conservative activists who'll decide if he or Liz Truss becomes Prime Minister. In a bid to appeal to them and other older voters, many of whom are already homeowners, of course, they're all right. He's now said it should be even more difficult to build on greenbelt land. But check this out. All these sites in London, Bradford, are on the greenbelt, if we can see the pictures. No one could say that any of these are of aesthetic value or natural beauty. The vast majority of greenbelt, in fact, is farmland, which is inaccessible to the public and often left fallow or urban scrub. Far too often, the greenbelt's used as an excuse to stop development for no good reason in areas where people want and for work reasons need to live. We're concreting over the countryside, say many so-called not in my backyard or NIMBY opponents of new development. Really? The greenbelt's now twice as big, covering twice as much acreage as it did in 1979. And meanwhile, the majority of a whole generation of young adults are locked out of home ownership, a trend now seriously impacting not just happiness, but family formation and fertility. And that's our On the Money question today. When it comes to housing, does Rishi need a greenbelt rethink?